Okay, so here's a weird symptom I've noticed today on so far a fair percentage of the plants on row 1. Just starting data collection for today. So I've noticed that some of the flowers are like stubby and compacted and not fully formed or opened over here on row 1. So we've just had our first good rain in the last month or so. And I don't know if this is a result of a lack of soil moisture, whether that's affecting chemistry or it's just the lack of moisture. I'm not sure, but there's some weirdness going on with the flowers. So I'm going to look into that and report back to you. Alright, so I've gone through most all of the plot. Still got a couple more plants over here, but that weird stubby flower thing seems to be something that's cropping up across the entirety of the plot. So because of that, and it doesn't seem to be restricted in any way, in any greater... It's not any more common in any one row than any of the other ones. So I believe it's probably a climatic thing. It's probably the cooler weather. And maybe that coupled with the drier climate. Who knows? May have had something to do with the way they were forming. But there's stubbiness going around with a lot of them. And here you can see a nice example of the way that the bulb matures along the cotton plant. So up here you see where I had the boron deficiency and I lost a boll. And you come down and you see a boll that's probably pretty close to maturing. Then another one. Then another one. Then down on here you've got another boll just starting. And then down here you got a wee little baby boll. And so you can just pretend that that's an open boll, because that one should have been opening around about this time. That's just a cool little example of the maturation rate of the boll. And as you can see, these three pretty much look identical. And that's because I've noticed that the boll sort of grows to size very quickly. In about a month, it goes and reaches full size, and then it sits there for another month before it opens. And that's just because once it reaches this rate, it's got all the size it needs, and then it starts developing the seeds rather than the actual fruit that you see. Just a cool little example. I saw a monarch over there trying to get into one of my flowers too. They were starting to migrate through. Also, now I'm pretty sure that 44D is a run-out plant, so sucks for it. It's not going to get selected for when seed selection comes, because with how big it is, it's pushing 6.5 feet. It'll probably hit 7 here by the end of the month. I've picked like 2 bolls off of it, which is the same as this scraggly little thing right here that has been limping along this entire time while it was wolfing up all of this nutrition. This thing, which I thought was going to die, has already put out, like 4 bolls, and 44D is sitting here not doing a thing. So this is a rogue plant. It's run out. It's getting weedy and it's not producing fruit. So this is not what we want to select for, even if it is big. So that's just where my thought process has gone this far. I was hoping this was going to be a productive plant considering how big it was, but I think really it's just got really long nodes. And it's putting way too much energy into vegetative growth rather than, fruit production. So it doesn't really have any more foliage than any other plants. It's just airier. So that is not a phenotype I want. Alright, so here's a boll off of 44D. So we're going to take a look close in on this and see if it is a rogue plant or not as far as fiber is concerned. Because it doesn't look terribly promising to me. Alright, so the fiber quality is still there, as you can see. That one's not bad at all, even though this is an immature boll, so you can't judge it based on all of them, but, this one's still extra long staple, so it's just rogue as far as its size. It's not genetically damaged, at least, as far as fiber quality is concerned. Alright, so that's the 4th clean boll of Sea Island cotton I've had. And I'm back out here at the Hutchinson house. This is last week, October, and I'm just finishing up that status update I started earlier in the month. Didn't really have anything interesting to report on, So I've been waiting on a new development. And I have had some new developments, but the one I want to focus on today is I think I've isolated the cause of the bull rot I've been having. I was attributing this to a boron deficiency, but I don't think that's actually the case. I think it's actually bacterial in origin, and I believe I know the cause. And see, this here is a typical rotten bull. Notice how it's, partially rotten. It's good in some places, bad in other places. I'll see if I can find what I want to demonstrate here. Look down in there. You see that little dark spot right there on the ovary wall? I believe that is the point of infection. Because as you can see in here, these seeds are pretty well developed. There's no reason why this bull shouldn't have matured. And the damage is asymmetrical. It's not focused in one locule. It's, it's greatest up here at the apex and on one side. And I believe I've finally sussed out the reason for that. Stink bugs. The stink bugs are feeding on the bulls. They get down into the bowl when they're roughly this size, a little bit smaller. Where's a good example? Maybe about that size, maybe a little bit bigger. What they're coming is they're walking up, standing on the cotton right here. What they're doing is they're walking up, standing on the cotton right here at the base, and then they're putting their mouth part right there, biting through the apex and sucking out delicious cottony juices. Whoops. And when they do that, they are infecting the cotton with a bacterial disease which is causing bull rot. Here's a good example. See this? That's not caused by a boron deficiency. That's bull rot. You look in there in the ovary, you see calluses and scars. That's being caused by a bacterial infection. And the boron is having some effect on productivity, but I had been wondering this whole time why the symptoms I was seeing were not external. They were all internal, and this explains why. It's because it's an internal infection of the bulls by bacteria that's being introduced by the proboscis of a stink bug who is acting as the vector. And that's why I'm not seeing external symptoms, and it's just the bull opens and it's disgusting and rotten. The downside of that is I don't know how to go about treating that. I've got to do some research and see if there's a biological control I can do that does not involve suffocating these plants in insecticides, because I'd rather not kill pollinators. But may have to do what may have to do. If there's some way I can, incorporate something into the plants that makes them toxic, which I highly doubt it, or some other management technique or predators I can introduce, which I also doubt, or maybe just surrounding management techniques. I may have to plant a buffer or something like that to keep them off. Here's another clean bull. Oh, nope. See, this one's got bull rot too. Two nice healthy bulls, and then rotten. Also, sorry about the lighting and everything. It is like 5:45 and overcast and currently sprinkling. So if the camera works terrible, that's because I'm slapping myself in the face getting rid of mosquitoes and because there's no light. But yeah, so that's a new development. Is the bull rot is bacterial, most likely in origin, and it is most likely being introduced by stink bugs. I have not gotten to touch this cotton in over a week, so that's why there's so many open bulls. Work has been getting in the way of work. Yep. Other than that, I did uncover an interesting genetic study because I got off my ass and contacted the USDA about the source of this cottonseed in their collection. And they were like, yeah, we don't really have any historical provenance, but we find your claims that this is pure Sea Island cotton interesting. We did a quick Google Scholar search of some of the accession code that we have in our database, and it turns out a research team back in 2001 studied the genetics of your cotton and how it relates to all modern long staple cultivars as well as modern upland cotton cultivars, and they found it to be genetically distinct. And I went through and poured over that whole study in detail, and it's really good. So this strain, Bleak Hall Sea Island, Accession GB679, along with a Seabrook Sea Island cultivar that was also in the cotton collection database but unlabeled, and there's a lot less information on it than this one that I have, GB 1049. Both of those grouped super tightly and far removed from all other long staple cottons in three-dimensional genetic relativity mapping they did that shows the differences between all of them genetically. And both Bleak Hall and Seabrook Sea Island grouped independently from all other long staple cotton. It also proved that they were not hybridized with upland cotton pretty much in any way. And the fact that they were so far removed shows that they predate and are totally genetically unrelated to modern Pima and Egyptian cotton strains, which all developed after this. After this went into the collection, all of those strains were developed into their modern equivalents. So this predates all of them, which is why it's removed from them, and there's no hybridization between those, which groups it distinctly genetically. And this is as far as possible as it can be, pretty much, from upland cotton, which shows that this is not hybridized. I also learned about the methods that the USDA uses to maintain their collections, and what they do is mechanical selfing. They come out here when the flower opens, or just before it opens, and they tie a string around the end of the flower, and this forces the flower to self-pollinate. And then they mark that flower, and then they come back, and after that bulb matures, they collect those seeds, and they don't perform any seed selection, and they do that to refresh their store once every 10 years. So from that, I was able to calculate that my crop is probably at least 7 generations of selfing removed from the original Bleak Hall stock that the USDA got, and there's only been 2 random selected non-self generations since it left the USDA vault. So we're only talking like 9-10 generations removed from the original Bleak Hall stock over there, which I think is really good. I also think that the historical information on how fast Sea Island cotton ran out and started reverting back to its wild type was really that was really only applicable to the early strains of this cultivar. I think after it got another, 150 years of, agricultural development under its belt, they kind of weeded out all of those wild type alleles. And so I think this is far more modern than what all of those historical documents reference about Sea Island cotton that runs out quickly. I may be wrong on that. But I think I have a lot more wiggle room with this than I did with the other stuff. As you can see with the cotton down here that I've been working with, it's fairly quality lint. It's definitely lost a lot of volume, but the length is still there. And I think that's all I really need to recover is its productivity. I don't think I really need to cover its lint quality much at all. So yeah, that's where I'm at. The provenance gets stronger and stronger every day I look at it. That paper also yielded some more interesting historical documents in its sources that I need to go look up and see what I can find out. It revealed that there's likely a second pure unadulterated strain of Sea Island cotton in that USDA vault, which it may be interesting to get that out and see how it stacks up against this. Not sure what I'm going to do about stink bugs yet. There may be not much of anything I can do other than controlling the surrounding habitat. Maybe I just, maybe this just won't be a production plot. This will just be here as an ornamental, and any production I want to do will have to be done off-site on my own time and my own dime. We shall see. Till next time, Tom out.